Bristol Flyers Podcast.
Hello, welcome to another off-season episode of the Bristol Flyers Podcast. I'm Joel Osborne, and he is Sam Hardy. Sam, how's it going?
Doing very well, thanks, mate. You said we were going to have a bit of a summer break, but this is like you getting me in all the time to do these podcasts now, mate.
Well, we just can't help ourselves, can we? We're doing shorter episodes in the off-season, so only like your half-an-hour slots as opposed to your usual hour-long episodes. But yeah, lots of news to get through, and we've got some great guests coming on, so we can't help but just keep the content coming.
Last time we had you on, Joel, or last time we were both on, sorry, you were feeling a little worse for wear. How are you doing now? You feeling a bit better?
Yeah, a lot better now. The feet are still sore from Glastonbury, though, so yeah, that'll take a while to get over. Sore feet, sore legs, but we're walking absolute miles every day, so as expected, but we move.
Have you put any admin pics out on the channels yet, Joel, instead of doing some of the signing announcements and stuff, or not yet?
There's a few in the personals. But no, straight signing announcements. Obviously, we had Trajan Jacob announced last week.
So exciting.
Went down really well. Great to see him back with the Flyers again. Second time round, back to do it all over again. It's great stuff. But before we introduce our guest, Sam, it's a big episode for us this week because we are actually talking all things European North Basketball League. We're taking a switch away from the British Basketball League, and we've got a very exciting guest, Sam. Super exciting. But before we introduce the guests, we have to go through a couple of little bits. The first one, keep an eye out on all major social platforms, Bristol Flyers, for the schedule announcement for the British Basketball League. That's going to be in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. I want to see who we're playing first, mate. What do you reckon? Home or away, first game?
I'd love a home game. Opening night. You know, Wise Campus, sold out crowd. It's been a whole summer without hoops. That'd be magical.
Oh, I'd love
Fingers
that.
crossed. We will see. So look out for that in the next couple of weeks or so. And then we have more signing announcements to come as and when. Now, I don't know when this episode is exactly going to drop. So we know who's to come, but we can't say anything just yet. So we think you'll like the next signing announcement. I'll just say that one.
I think they will like the next one, Joel. Very excited for that.
Great stuff. As we say, just a short episode for us this week. They're trying to keep them down to 30-minute episodes. However, we have got the sign-off to return to weekly hour-long episodes from September. So make sure you like, comment and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast feed, recommend us to a friend. And yeah, all those podcasty things that podcast hosts tell you to do, go do them. The podcast is growing massively. Right, time for us to introduce this week's guest. And as we said, we are talking all things ENBL. And of course, back in May, Sam, we announced that the Flyers would be venturing into Europe for the first time ever in the club's history. Super, super exciting time, Sam.
I've never really been around European basketball that much. Like growing up, NBA was there. Like obviously been involved in local, UK basketball, but never really touched on much European stuff. So I'm just excited to learn about it, my man.
Well, I imagine you are excited to learn about it, and I imagine the listeners are too. So to join us here on the Bristol Flyers podcast, we are very pleased to be joined by European North Basketball League project manager Lasma Floyd. Lasma, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to. Is this your first time in the UK as well?
Not in UK my first time, but the first time in Bristol, and I'm very enjoying it so far.
What do you think of what do you think of the city? I know you just got here yesterday, right?
Yes. We had a nice walk by the water and then a few restaurants, and we were trying to get the fish and chips, of course.
Yeah, the Trajan Jacob special apparently from last week's episode. Everyone's got to have the fish and chips when they come over here to the UK.
Did you not find any though?
Well, we kind of arrived really late, so it was a little bit challenging, but we're still hoping for today.
Great stuff. Well, there's still plenty of time.
We can point you in a good direction of fish and chips as well, can't we, Joel? So we'll let you know.
There's always food recommendations here on the podcast. This is basically a food podcast with a hint of basketball, isn't it?
I know.
We talk about food all the time when we talk about hoops.
I love it.
But yeah, it's great stuff. Lasma, just a quick introduction to the listeners. Introduce yourself to the Flyers family, what you do at the ENBL, and what your role consists of at the league. What do you do?
So, as you mentioned, I am project manager. Basically, my daily tasks are all the communication you can imagine with the teams, team managers, sometimes coaches, mainly the leadership and managers from the clubs. All the issues you can imagine, anything, every day, and also a lot of regulations, rules, making sure things are going the right direction in case there's a situation where somebody cannot find the middle ground. I'm always trying to be the bridge and the kind of middle ground so we can solve the situation. Also trying to figure out how to do the information from teams and clubs towards my leadership. So just kind of being in the middle, I would say, like a bridge or like a goalkeeper, like a goalkeeper between everybody, and trying to make everybody, have the best experience.
Yeah, Lasma essentially is the Mike Edkins of the ENBL. Of course, my gosh, you got Mike watching us on the podcast. We've got a bit of an audience here in the studio this week. It's a bit more people than we expected, but yeah, of course, Lasma, you've met Mike. You've been chatting with him over the last few weeks, and today you're down to visit Bristol to check out the team, and this is literally the first thing you've done in the morning. We're recording this in the morning right now.
With my coffee. Morning coffee.
You have your morning coffee. You haven't done anything yet. You've barely met us, and we're just throwing you straight into a podcast, so straight in at the deep end.
That sounds like my daily life at the league. It does. Everything happens a few hours before the games if there's any issues. But seriously, yes, this is good experience already, and that's why we came here to the city. We wanted to see, explore. This is already good experience. We're very happy to have teams and clubs that are doing things, are doing a lot, are doing extra, and this is a very good experience so far.
Great stuff. Well, we wanted to get you on to introduce the ENBL to our Flyers family here in the UK. And this podcast's been a long time in the making, because back when we announced our entry into the European North Basketball League in May, we actually called you out, didn't we, Sam, on the Bristol Flyers podcast. We wanted to get a representative from the league to come here in the studio and chat to us, and we've actually managed to make it happen. And Sam, I think you got a short clip from that episode, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll play it now.
Take a listen to this.
I think having someone from the ENBL here, if it's Lasma or Edgar's, the people behind the running of the league. So I'm really looking forward to listening to a podcast here. And Lasma, Edgar's, I think it would be great to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, if you're listening, Lasma and Edgar's, we want you here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.
We'll get you here on the Bristol Flyers podcast. And we did get you here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.
We taught it into existence. It's amazing. I'm super excited. And that's why we're doing another emergency off-season podcast.
I still love that you call them emergencies, Joel.
It is a super emergency.
Super emergency.
Lasma, am I right in thinking you and Edgar's right now are doing the tours around all the different teams? You're visiting each and every club between now and the start of the season?
Yes, so this is also kind of off-season for us too, obviously. So we're trying take a little bit of personal time. But to be honest, it never stops. You probably know the best. Even though the season is like 7, 8, 9 months, it depends. But really, it's all around the year. So we're trying to take the personal time kind of combined with some work things. So this is one of those trips. And yes, we are trying to go to different cities or countries, or at least trying to have people from different clubs, managers, leadership, meet somewhere where it's convenient for everybody.
Right.
So yes, and especially the new teams and the new countries joining. We want to, make sure that everything is on the same page with us, and then we have the same expectations, and we know where we're going, kind of the same direction. And the other countries, yes, last season we tried to make sure that at least somebody from the league is always somewhere in one of the countries. So we've been there. We've been, in starting from last year, Kosovo, Israel, Poland, all the countries. So we're kind of are sure what to receive, what to expect, what to have. So now we're kind of doing little tours around the new teams.
So how many teams have been announced so far for this season?
5 or 6. It depends. So we have, few the same teams from the same countries. So yes, and I can't really go into the details of having the new. I know.
We're trying to get every little bit out of it. What can you tell us? Let's get it. Let's find out all the teams that are entering. Got any exciting news to break to us here on the podcast? No, I'm joking. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Talk us through the development of the league, though, because obviously this is going to be the third season of the ENBL, and you guys formed coming out of COVID back in 2021, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. So maybe I can. Start a little bit with the past, so that would make sense a little bit more than just like making a league out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it all started already, I would say, around 30 years ago, and it all started with the leadership forming the league for kids. It was specifically for the girls. So it all started with maybe a few countries around Baltic states gathering together for a weekend and just playing international, local kind of tournaments, and then other countries just heard and they wanted to be more involved. So it grew into, if I'm not mistaken, before COVID it was like 200 something teams and like 86 countries playing in the youth league for the girls.
That is amazing.
Yes, it was the Europe, and then it got bigger and bigger, like around Baltic states, and then more wider and wider. And then 8 years ago, there was an idea, if it's working so well, and we can see it's needed, you know, if there wouldn't be that big interest and so many teams, if it wouldn't be needed, that's what people are kind of lacking and wanting to do. So then there was the idea about Women's League. So we did European Women's Basketball League, which was also very successful. It was around 16, 20 teams. Of course, there's seasons when there's a little bit less, a little bit more. It depends. I'm sure we're going to touch those subjects, why it depends. And then it's been already in our back of the heads for I would say at least 5-6 years. Once the Women's League kind of developed, we saw that. And then we realized that the biggest thing is that between national championships and FIBA competition, there are leagues, but if they're sometimes very financially kind of high level, expensive, or they are very located in like specific areas and not kind of open to almost everyone. So we just started putting down the numbers, the ideas. Like you said, you called us out, it happened. We're here, so we just put everything on the table. We talked about it, and then, you know how they say the best projects come out of like crisis situations, and that was it. Whenever COVID hit, we were thinking, and here we are. Yes, this is going to be the third season. So the first year was challenging because of COVID. There was a lot of challenges. Also, it was the same year of some political conflicts in the world. So we started with 8 teams. We finished with 6 teams because of the regulations and rules in the world at that time. Then the next season, which was last season, we wanted to start with 16 teams, again, because of some political conflicts and situations between some countries. We actually last minute started with 15 teams. And that was one of the reasons why we had to just kind of have a little bit more teams from other countries to even this situation out. But now we're holding our breath and fingers crossed that we can actually start the season how it's planned, and we hope that this will be the year that really there's nothing so global that is gonna surprise us now and really kind of disturb us.
Yeah,
you've said
with the numbers.
You've said that now.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We're still holding our breath.
It's amazing how it's just transformed. So the junior leagues were so popular, and now it moving into the senior level, and it being the third season coming. It's great to see. I mean, and you mentioned about there being 16 teams. At the time of recording the podcast right now, you guys have announced 5. So ourselves and Newcastle representing the UK, CSO Voluntary representing Romania. They're going to be the first Romanian team taking part in the ENBL. And Landstead Hammers from the Netherlands. And I'm right thinking they're going to be the first Dutch team as well,
yes,
taking part in the ENBL.
Yes.
And obviously Polish side, is it Start Lublin, who returning from last season? They
yes.
finished 3rd last season in the playoffs.
Yes.
So it's super exciting for you guys to be tapping into these new markets, you know, Romania, the Netherlands and the UK. How important is that for you guys as a league to be really honing in on these untapped markets for you?
Well, of course it is very important. That is the idea of the league. You know, we are based more, the idea was the north, of Europe. However, the interest is so big and the need, we can see that it's not only interest, it's also the need that the teams are willing to actually be on international stage. But like I mentioned before, some FIBA competition can be so expensive and the level, it's not accessible for everybody. So that's why we are in the middle, and we're trying to be open-minded. We're trying to open the door as much as possible, even if there are any issues or situation a little bit different to some teams. We're always trying to adjust. However, every solving every situation and applying the rules, we always make sure other teams who are already in are aware and are okay with that. and then we can, open doors more to, for example, Romania, or we had Kosovo or Israel, and just go with the flow, but make sure everybody's fine with the rules and the situations.
Yeah, and it's the perfect stepping stone, isn't it, for those clubs that have ambitions to play in those higher level FIBA competitions. Like ourselves, our venue's always been a challenge for us. We sell out 750 crowd every single week. We've got the new arena on the horizon right here down at Ashton Gate coming in the next few years. But something to sort of get our foot in the door, learn what it takes to compete in Europe, and like yourselves as a league, we're growing as a club, moving up through the lower divisions now up into the BBL, so it's been like a perfect fit with Flyers joining the ENBL at this time as well. It's great to see.
Are you going to try and get across to SGS for a wonderful experience here in the UK this season?
Well, we will see. The one thing I wanted to mention, it comes down at the end of the day of, for the basketball and for that better good of basketball and development. But like you mentioned, it's really not only what happens on the court. Yes, that is, of course, number one, the competition. But to see in the last few years how all the countries joining the league, how we've been socialized and we have some social events and international meetings, and how people are developing towards like marketing and other things. It's been really amazing how we feel like sometimes we're like a big international family that can really grow into something big, and I can see that happening really.
Yeah, and you talk about the level of competition. I mean, you look at some of the previous teams that have played in the ENBL over the last 2 years. The Polish team Anvil that won the ENBL in the first year, they went on to win the FIBA Europe Cup last season. So you can just it's no. Lots of these teams have experience playing in these FIBA competitions. So for us who, dipping our toe in the European waters for the very first time, it's going to be a huge challenge, but super exciting times for us, and I can't wait.
Well, it's going to be something to get used to. Like, the BBL kind of becomes its league, and they get used to the refs and all the ways that it works, and you sort of like I don't know, sort of how aggressive it is and the rest of it, but it'll be different in the European League, right? And we'll see. I think some of our players may get caught out at times and all the rest of it. Yeah. I'm excited to see it, Joel.
Yeah, I think I was looking at BC Wolves as well. They just announced their entry into the Euro Cup alongside London Lions this season, and they made the final last season. Is that right?
Yes, they were in finals.
So it's super exciting time. So you see the level of these teams, the teams that go far in these competitions. These are teams that can also, compete at the highest level in European competitions too. So it's
very exciting.
It's great. And obviously now with like London playing in Euro Cup and Caledonia announcing their entry into the Basketball Champions League, and ourselves and Newcastle in the ENBL next season, it brings it up to 4 teams from the British Basketball League competing in Europe. And that's exactly, when Aaron Radin came in and spoke about we want teams to be progressing, pushing forward, this is exactly what he was talking about, and now to see it come to fruition so early as well. I don't think we were expecting to be competing in European basketball so early, but yeah, super exciting times ahead, Sam.
Well, you've given us the opportunity to. If we didn't have you, we couldn't have done European basketball so soon, so we really do appreciate that we can come and experience this and have some fun and work hard. Hey, Joel?
Yeah, and for us also, I think it's a great story. Like, you'll see other fans around the BBL want to support us and support Newcastle. You'll be competitors on the court in the British League, but when we're representing the UK in the ENBL, you'll probably find we'll get a lot of support from teams around the BBL as well. And it's a great story. I think you look at Flyers developing from Div 3 up to the BBL over the last 18 years, and we had Coach on the podcast back in May, and he spoke all about it. But Coach has been on this journey since the very start, and for him, he's always wanted to play in European basketball, and it's just a great story for fans to get behind. And now we can finally say we're playing European basketball, so it's all great. All thanks to the ENBL.
Lasma, how sort of much have you wanted a British team to play in your league? Has it been something that you've been thinking about for a while, or has it just sort of happened quite organically this year? What do you think?
Yeah, so UK has always been kind of on the list. So we do have in our heads and on the paper, a list that countries we want to talk with, we need to talk with, and there's been other like Scandinavian countries, UK, Germany. These countries have always been on kind of like a list that we need to put the work in. But also, like you said, you are appreciative of us. We are very appreciative of every country, and in this case of you and your team, because it wouldn't work any other way. You need the match from both sides. So this is one of the cases that we put the work in. We have communication. there are countries that every year before, at the end of the season or in summer, we restart the communication and see how it feels this year, how far we are. Like we have new team from Netherlands. We are still looking, there's interest at least from 2-3 teams from Belgium. So there are a lot of new countries, and like you said, Romania is already in. So we're really excited, and UK has always been one of the biggest flag on our map and locations. So here we are, and yes, but it did happen. I think very, very natural, very good. Coach reached out to us with Mr. Mike, and we had few. We had few conversations, few video calls, few online meetings, and everybody just needs time on our side, on the countries or club side, to think about it, to put all the numbers, all the feelings, everything together. And yes, and it was a matter of few months and few kind of board meetings and everything, and here we are. So it was working for both sides, and we're very happy. And like I said, and you know how it's like a chain reaction also in a way. Once somebody opens the door, there's more people wanting to join, and they see it as like this group where we want to be joined. And we have 2 teams from UK.
Amazing. That's so good, isn't it?
Really cool.
And what's the goal for the ENBL moving forward? Right now we're going to be entering with 16 teams. What's the goal? What's the future ambitions for the league? How many teams do you see it potentially going up to?
1 million teams.
All the teams we can have.
Everyone, you're all welcome.
Yes. So I will say also a little bit about the past. If at the beginning the biggest challenge was to have the league, to have the teams, and to have like good teams that can participate and do everything else, besides the basketball court, then now we have to switch a little bit the vision and the seeing and actually the daily tasks of making sure the teams are joining actually has like a list of tasks and duties and kind of stones we can all make sure we can get over them and do it like in a good professional way. So answering the question, up to this point we are going up to 16 teams. It would be probably conversation with my leadership if we would go up to 18 teams. Of course it's possible, but then again, we want to make sure the teams we do have are straight away the teams we are actually having perfectly fine with all the possibilities professionally, social, all the attitude, everything around it, the even atmosphere, everything. We're trying to take in consideration now everything. What you guys do here, the studio, for example, how it is if the arenas are full, if we have entertainment, of course, the basketball level, everything. So we have a huge list where we're trying to go through. And to be honest, this list, even though there would be huge interest from so many different countries and teams, it takes a while and it takes a work to actually go through these tasks to make sure you can be in the league.
That makes sense. So you're basically saying before it was like, we've got to get the teams in, but now you're like, well, actually, because we've got lots of interest, we're going to create a lot of, not stepping stones in like a difficult way, but stepping stones to maintain a level, to maintain sort of, not just a level of playing, but a level of what it looks like off the court, the social media, the marketing, all of that, and then and the teams that you've had to unfortunately say no to because they don't quite hit that, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, great stuff. And we're in the shortlist already, Sam.
We hit it, Joel. We hit it, mate. No, thanks to our social media team.
Brilliant. Lasma, let's have a quick chat about the format for the upcoming season. So each team plays each other just once during the regular season, and the 16 teams are going to be drawn into 2 pools of 8. Isn't that right?
Yes.
So do we know when the draw will be taking place for the ENBL this season?
Yes, we do. I hope
Are we allowed to say when the draw? Are we allowed to say when, or can we not say that just yet?
I will say, and then maybe after the studio, if I get a call and it says boss, then we'll see if I'm in trouble. But I will say it.
Okay.
So for now, the plan is we are also communicating this with the teams middle of August 16, 17. Since the headquarters is based in Latvia, and there will be some other entertainment basketball events happening in Latvia, international for the national teams and other countries joining and having some games. So we thought it is very convenient for everybody to join that event and to kind of see basketball, but not, as a competition between the clubs, but more in a national level. To see that, and that looks like it's going to be formed on the 16th of August in Riga. And maybe some social events after that, so everybody can meet, because that is big part. That is a huge part of the league's philosophy, to have people in together on like friendly terms, so everybody feels comfortable to communicate with everybody. So that's why we're doing some kind of sports basketball, bigger international event, joining that, then having some social evening. So everybody can meet everyone. And the next day, on the 17th of August, that's the work day. It's all scheduled for, for the draw, for all the regulations. There's still going to be some questions that it's not really our place to decide. This is really up to the teams. Some things about like the daily technical things. So those are the questions we're going to put out on a table, and we're all going to decide together and have on the 17th of August, we're going to have this big international meeting where all the teams are joining. So it's going to be 16 teams, and most likely 2 people from every team, whoever is available from leadership and management. So it's looking like 2 great days before season to find out more, to know all the answers.
Amazing.
So hopefully not too much socialising on the 16th, because the 17th will be hard work otherwise, yeah?
Yeah.
And if you need,
some team building, and all that.
And if
all
you
that good stuff.
And if you need 2 representatives from Bristol to come and join the meeting, I'm sure Sam and I will do a great job.
Mike's just said
Mike's just busy apparently.
Yeah, Mike's busy. Sorry, mate. You lost your job.
Nice little work trip there, Sam.
So hopefully by that point, you should have announced all 16 teams, and everyone should know who's in the league and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yes, that is also like a kind of a draw line for us. Excuse me, draw line for us for the teams also on their side to make sure everything is done 100%, starting with financial, technical, all the other information that we are requesting from the teams, as well as for us too. All the regulations, statutes, manuals, everything you can imagine. So from both sides, until then, everything, we are kind of first goal is until end of July, but then we kind of give those extra 2 weeks a little bit, just in case there's the last things to take care of. And yes, by that time, to be honest, we have kind of inside rule, only the teams who have like done everything and we are good with everything, those will be participating and making sure we're. So on the 16th, 17th, we should be able to announce everything. And until that, maybe even everything will be announced. It depends, like these 5 teams already. However, like I said, fingers crossed for no worldwide situations.
Yeah, keep our fingers tightly crossed.
Always fingers crossed for that, really. But yeah.
Because the last 2 years, if something did happen, it was always like September-ish time. So,
Well, not this year.
Not this year.
We're all good.
This year.
So we're expecting the draw to take place mid-August. Will we know when the actual schedule comes out on that same weekend, or will then you have to look at the fixtures and then the dates come out like a week later or something like that?
Yeah, so about the schedule, the work is already happening now. However, it is not for public. It is more private between the league and clubs. But there's a lot already done. So it's really going to be the matter of announcing the teams and then putting out the schedule.
Yeah, we're super excited to announce the schedule, because we've got so many fans already asking questions about trying to book some time off work to come and travel with the team on the road and support us away from home. So yeah, there's a date for your diary there, Flyers fans, to look out for, to add some dates into the calendar.
And at this point, we already know, the frame of the schedule. We know the days. There's going to be Tuesdays, Wednesdays. We know the teams. There will be teams having 4 home games, teams having 3 home games. So we know all the frame, we know most of it. So at this point, we just have to put the names of the teams into the right places, and then it's going to be known for public.
And then talk us through the Final Four. The Final Four last year was held at a central location. Is that something you guys are looking to do again this year with the playoffs?
Yes, so the playoff games are home away, on your local courts. Final Four, it's one of the questions we actually start working towards already beginning of season, because it is one of the main events, of course, of the season. So we are open to receive offers from. You're welcome to put one in now. But we are welcome and open to have the offers from different teams and countries who would like to do that. And then we also have like a personal communication with everyone, and we also have like a more communication with everybody together. And the same, like we have a list and we discuss, how full is the arena, what is the capacity of arena, the location for the other teams, the financial aspect, is that convenient to other teams or that's like very expensive and we're not doing that to the other teams. There's a lot that goes into that, but yes, the main thing is that we are receiving offers and putting our word out that we are open to certain countries and places, and who has interest, where we can do that as long as we have the offer officially, and then we just go from there, considering all the aspects of that weekend or 3-4 days.
Yeah. Who knows, Sam? Maybe one day down at Ashton Gate we host some ENBL Final Fours down there.
So cool.
That'd be amazing. When we're in the big arena, it'd be awesome.
Probably not SGS.
Yeah, maybe not SGS right now. I think you could probably sell that probably 5 times over for the Final Fours.
We'd make an offer, but you'd say no straight away.
And for away fans that can't travel to the ENBL games, am I right in thinking all the games are streamed online this season? Where can fans tune in to watch ENBL basketball?
Yeah, so this is also something I would like not to jump ahead and already say. However, so there's going to be 2 ways how to watch the games. One is on one of the big main social platforms, and one is the other way is going to be, so you have to follow your local team's broadcaster, and we are still having also communication with everyone, so the team will be responsible about the local broadcast, and that's going to be also that we're announcing, and also on the team side, the announcement where to watch, how to watch. However, every game will be sent with signals to us, to Latvia's main TV partner, and to every country's main partner who's doing the broadcast. So whoever is playing the game in both countries, 100% the game will be possible to watch, and if you are not in one of those countries, you will be able to sign up in a social platform and do that there.
Amazing. Super exciting.
Yes.
So good.
But special names, it's really going to come down to all of the teams and your partners and your broadcasters.
Watch this space. And am I right in thinking also you guys are looking to stream the draw for, we do the draw for the teams in the pools. You guys looking to stream the draw this year? Fans can find out live who we're going to be playing against in the ENBL, or?
I think that's going to be still question of also with all the teams' involvement, because I'm going to be honest, we do have, it's not a secret or nothing, we do have previously we have had some conversations with the teams that we had from the first year, for example. That is one of the reasons why some teams will receive 4 home games, some teams will receive 3 home games, because we're just trying to go, with the promised things, and we keep the word from the first season, and the conditions maybe, for the new teams, you're going to have to prove at least 1 season that, hey, we are in the family, in the group, and then we see. So with the draw, we will see. It's going to come down to if the team leaderships are going to be okay with that, then we might do that. But I know there's going to be some interesting social media stuff and some interesting questions and competitions even around that for people, for fans. So that's all going to probably start beginning of August. So it's going to be interesting.
You're being so diplomatic. I appreciate it. Joel's here asking all the hard questions.
I'm asking all the questions that fans want to know, and Lasma is just knocking them out the park.
I know.
Amazing. We're super excited to join the ENBL this season, and we're excited for all the content we can do. We're excited to take the podcast on the road, aren't we, Sam? Mike's excited to take the podcast on the road as well. I can see him back there. And thank you so much for coming down to visit us. you've got a big day ahead of you, so we'll let you get on. But yeah, thanks so much for coming down to visit us, and enjoy the rest of your time here in the UK. And hopefully we'll see you down at a Flyers game for the ENBL in September. In November, even.
In November. Yes. I'm very excited, and that's how we try to do that. We try to make sure that one of the team members from the league, we're very international too. So we've been placed all over the Europe, and we have Latvians and Lithuanian people and other stuff. So we're planning to visit and go to games and be big part of that club's life too, and be big part and good communication with the teams and everything. That's what matters. So I'm very excited, and I hope I will be back in UK rather sooner than later.
Amazing. Great stuff.
If people want to keep up on what's going on with the NBL, what are the social media channels we can follow on?
Yes, we do have Instagram, European North Basketball League. We do have Twitter, Facebook, homepage. In homepage, we have a lot of articles regularly about the news, about what's happening. So, yeah, welcome to follow everywhere, and we'll be in touch with the fans and with the teams.
Amazing. We can't wait to see who else is going to be playing with us in the ENBL this season. And hopefully the Flyers fans have had a lot of questions answered today on this week's episode of the podcast. Lasma, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you coming here. And Sam, what a great episode that was.
I'm just so excited, Joe. I want the season to start already, especially just any of it in BBL, ENBL. I want it to go now, but alas, not yet.
Yeah, a few more weeks to wait yet until Flyers will play their first European game, and that'll be such a special moment when we first take the floor for our very first European game. 18 years in the making to finally play European basketball would be great. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we wrap up this week's episode of the Bristol Flyers podcast. If you're enjoying it, please share it with a friend on your usual podcast provider. Leave a rating and a review. I haven't read out a review in a while, Sam. We have to do that.
Have we had some reviews?
I don't know. I have to check the review.
We'll have a little check.
Yeah, leave us a review and we'll read it out. We read out every review on the podcast as and when it comes in. If you're watching on YouTube, do comment, like, subscribe. Leave a comment down here if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, if you've got a question for the next episode, we'll read it out on the Bristol Flyers podcast. Sam, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up this week's episode of the Flyers podcast?
Not this week, Joel.
Just a reminder that the episodes at the moment are half-hour episodes. I say half-hour, we've gone a bit over here this week, but they are with sporadic summer episodes. We are back to weekly episodes from September, so make sure you tune in then. But until then, we'll see you next time right here on the Bristol Flyers podcast.